let's talk about the problem, the actual problem with ARC Raiders. I kind of talked about this on my stream yesterday a little bit, and I was going to turn it into a video, and I kind of went on for like 45 minutes and rambled a bit, but I actually had people in chat, and they actually all ended up agreeing with me pretty much completely in the end, even though it took me 45 minutes to get there. So I kind of typed out a script. I'm going to kind of follow it and try to splice it together in the end, so it's easy to follow. So anyway, there's a lot of negative sentiment going around, and a lot of people think they know why, or what the problem is, or what the prescription is to fix the game. And I'm here to tell you that they're all wrong. There might be some correct people out there, but I have not seen them, and it kind of blows my mind that I haven't seen them. I'm here to kind of get everything together and kind of explain things to you guys from my perspective, okay? From somebody who obviously doesn't do this full time, who doesn't get paid money for doing this or make money from this, but just does it as a hobby, and then on top of that plays a lot. Like I play a lot. For somebody who's married, has a house, has a full-time job, etc., I've played a lot. I've got, I think, about 500 hours, maybe closing in on 600. I'm not sure. I'd have to check my Steam stats. So that's where this is coming from. So let's get into it. Everything I see online for the reason of why there's a negative sentiment right now is that either the game's full of cheaters, they need to add a PvE only mode, they need to cater more to PvP players, the updates are bad, they need to revert balance changes. And I kind of want to go through these topics a little bit like one by one before I get into my personal prescriptions for the game and what I think is probably best and what a lot of people will probably agree with. So let's get into this. Let's just take them one by one and start with the biggest allegation that I see going around is the game is filled with cheaters. Now this kind of stems from the streamers, the big popular people who are constantly complaining about streamers. I shouldn't say they're constantly complaining. They have a good reason to, because there's groups of these guys who are full on rage hacking and stream sniping them all day, every day, because it's all they play. One of the biggest proponents for the game is filled with cheaters is Ninja. Ninja played this game a lot and has pretty much exclusively played this game since launch. He has put tons of hours in. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got thousands of hours in already. I don't know exactly. I don't watch him all the time. Every once in a while I do, but he gets stream sniped a lot, and a lot of these stream snipers are cheaters, and it happens constantly throughout his day, especially because he's playing with other streamers at the same time. Symphony, Tfue, etc., name it. Nadeshot a while back, before Nadeshot stopped playing, because he got tired of a lot of this stuff a lot earlier on. But he has a point. For them, it can be very rough. Now, the bad part about this is it doesn't really affect the normal player. The vast majority of players is not going to see a quarter of the amount of cheaters that these guys see. Not just because they play less, but also because they're not in those lobbies, they don't have that elo, and they're not going to get stream sniped because they're normal players. I myself, 500-ish hours, I do run into cheaters every once in a while, but for the most part, they're non-existent. It's every couple of games I might have one guy who's really sus and he's got like a fresh account. Every once in a while, it's very rare that I run into somebody who actually has a ban on their account already and it's clear that they're cheating. It's very rare for it to be something that's just like plain obvious. So my experience is drastically different from Ninja's experience. However, there's a big sentiment I see online of people saying, is that game still filled with cheaters? I had a friend ask me this in my chat who'd stopped playing because all he did was play solo. He'd never play with us for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm talking about you. But anyway, he came into my chat just a couple days ago, or it's probably like a week ago, and asked, is the game still filled with cheaters? And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, we don't experience that. But he sees it. If he watches somebody else's stream, if he watches a big streamer and they're dealing with a stream sniper or a bunch of cheaters, it seems like the game's filled with cheaters. This is where I'll carry water for these bigger streamers because they do have a bit of a point when it comes to their experience, because it makes the game look bad. You don't want the game to look bad because then people like my friend think it's full of cheaters and they don't want to play the game if it's full of cheaters. Does that make sense? So Ninja's prescription, the few times I've heard him talk about this, is that they just need to hire a guy who's front-facing, forward-facing towards the big people in the community who can take names down and look into them immediately and ban them. And I agree. You need to hire one guy. He's like the community anti-cheat guy, and his whole job is to monitor streams, take names from these big players and big community players, YouTubers as well, and look into their accounts really quickly. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these big streamers and content creators who help push this game out there, and you can't deny the effect that these guys have had on the game. Look at Peanut, look at the war, the amount of people who were involved in that, and the community reaction to that was absolutely insane. This is a big factor. So if you hire one guy to take names, look into accounts, and ban them, and keep them off of the backs of these creators, it makes the game look a lot better. Now, you don't have to go super in depth because it doesn't have as big of a cheater problem as other extraction shooters. It's not nearly as bad as Tarkov. It's not nearly as bad as Delta Force is, even though I heard that game's doing a lot better. I love Delta Force. I've not wanted to really go back because of the cheaters. And that game getting cheated on is like, I mean, the time to kill in that game is instant. So, like, it sucks getting cheated on in that game. But in this game, it's not nearly as bad. It's going to make the content creator space a little bit better and a little bit more like the actual experience that other players would have if they were as high a skill player as some of these streamers. If that makes any sense. So, Embark, if you guys want to hire me, I'll do it. Give me $45K a year. Give me like a little portal to log in and give me ability to copy paste the name into a ban button and let me do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Sign me up. Hit me up. Moving on from that, the other things we see online are PvE mode or PvP mode. They need to cater to one or the other. No, shut up. Done. No. When it comes to PvE stuff, let's look at a Games Radar interview with one of the production directors of Arc Raiders, and he said, and I quote, "Players shouldn't feel fully safe even in friendly lobbies." And there's a reason for that. Because if you feel fully safe, if you run around thinking you're just perfectly fine and all you gotta do is PvE, it ruins the game. The whole point of an extraction shooter, and especially a game like Arc Raiders, is the immersion, the uncertainty of whether or not to trust somebody, of the uncertainty of whether or not that player is going to actually help you or shoot you, or someone's watching you do whatever you're doing. So you gotta be careful. You want to be quiet, or if you're loud, you want to be ready to fight if you have to fight. That's part of the immersion of this game. That's part of the experience of this game. And if you choose to do PvE and try not to fight people, that's your prerogative. That's perfectly fine. But when you expect others to not shoot you and you get mad at them for shooting you because it's part of the game, the core component of the game, it's ridiculous. Cue the clip. That's a bobcat. Give me something, please, to kill that bobcat. Okay, or give me a bobcat to kill the bobcat. Sure. People behind me, but where's this guy? Where are these guys at? There he is.
Yo, that's a rat up here. There's a rat up here. Why are you actually, bro? Why are you being fucking weird, bro?
Why are you PvPing in a PvP game, bro?
You're a fucking weirdo, bro.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo for playing a video game. Oh shit, I'm out of ammo.
Nigga, you're a fucking weirdo for shooting at me when I'm not literally not even doing nothing to you, pussy.
Bro, it's part of the fucking game, bro. Go play Destiny or something.
Nigga, this is a PvP, nigga. Is it a fucking PvP lobby or PvE?
Bro, they're both the same. You're just a dumbass playing the wrong game, dude.
Dumbass Jew.
Man, you just hate other people, huh? Hey, guy with Bobcat, I just want to let you know I have no fucking ammo, so... See, told you. Wait, no, that guy shot me. What? You should shoot him. You should shoot him. Oh my god. What the fuck is this Teletubby bullshit, bro? So obviously, that's not correct either. But catering to PvP is not correct either, because then it drives away the PvE aspect of it, and you don't want that. Now, I do have some prescriptions for this coming up a little bit later in the video when I talk about what I actually think is going to be good updates for the game, and what they could do, and what I think they should do, and honestly, what I think they will do. Moving on, balancing changes need to be reverted. That's stupid. You're dumb. You just want to use the Toro and only the Toro, or the Venator and only the Venator. I don't care that my headset fell off. That's why it's a crutch for you. You suck dick. Uninstall. Another argument is the updates have been bad for the game. Now, this is wrong on its face. However, I kind of want to talk about a little bit of a different interpretation of bad updates. They might have a little bit of a point in saying the updates are lackluster. That's what I think. Every update since Stella Montis has been a little bit underwhelming. And this is kind of where we're going to get into my own thoughts and what I think is going to be good for the game. All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this, and let's kind of take a look at the roadmap of Arc Raiders. Not what they have released as a roadmap, but what has actually happened and taken place as far as content goes with this game. So the game comes out at the very end of October last year. It was like, I think it was like October 30th or something. I'm not going to look it up right now. It's like October 30th. 2 weeks. I looked this up. 2 weeks after launch, we got Matriarch and Stella Montis. That's huge. Those are huge updates. The Matriarch's a big boss arc with a blueprint inside of it, and then eventually they moved that to Stella Montis, obviously, which kind of sucks because now there's not much of a reason to do Matriarch outside of Matriarch cores. Embark. We'll get into that because reasons to do content is kind of important. So they did that, but they released that 2 weeks after the launch of the game, and then they said we're going on a vacation. And they went on a vacation until January, motherfucker. That's way too long. I get it. You guys did a lot of work. You guys were very successful. You guys are banging. You guys deserved a nice break. But you released a map, which is a fantastic map. Very well made, very well designed. The layout's fantastic. I think it's one of the best designed extraction shooter maps as far as like a PvP forward extraction shooter map goes. However, the amount of bugs and issues with it clearly could have been found and taken out well before launch if you guys would have just waited. If you guys would have waited to take your vacation until the beginning of December and released Stella Montis mid-December. Just have it like you guys had people there still who were running like obviously important like features and systems and stuff like that, and for emergencies you obviously still had to have people there, so somebody could have been there and hit the deploy button after it was properly finished and released it about mid-December, and then we wouldn't feel like we're in such a content drought right now. Because if you go back into reality now and look at it 2 weeks after launch, we haven't had major content in almost 6 months. We have had a new ball, a new flying arc that sucks dick to deal with and nobody likes it. The Firefly, by the way. And now, just recently, the Vaporizer and a Hurricane. Every other thing, who gives a fuck? It's just, there's not... The Assessors on Close Scrutiny that just came out, the only reason to do them is to get the shotgun blueprint, and that's it. What other reason is there? Why didn't they just throw more stuff into there? So that's all we've gotten. We've gotten a few map conditions that, whatever, Bird City, okay. It's not enough content. And that's why I say if they would have waited for Stella Montis another month and a half and released it mid-December, we wouldn't be feeling as burnt out as we are right now. And then we have the new map at the end of this month, which I'm super excited for. If it's good, which I'm pretty confident it's going to be good, it's going to be great. It's going to bring back that mystery. It's going to bring back that exploration, which is something that's great and what's drawn people in about this game. But since it's been 6 months, we don't have that anymore on any of the other maps, on any of the other conditions, with any of the other stuff, because we've done it all. Time and time again, over and over. We're ready for something new. We're ready for something more, but it's been so long. That right there is the core reason that there's a lot of people who have negative feelings towards the game right now. It's not because it's bad. It's not because of cheaters. It's not because of balance. It's not because they need to undo things. It's not because the updates were bad. It's because the updates were lackluster. Came off the starting line, hitting a grand slam, and followed it up in the same inning with 3 more heavy hitters. And then after that, the rest of the batting lineup has been just, they've all been hitting bunts, just getting on base. Just getting on base. And that's a problem. You got to spread that shit out. Now, what I'm hoping for in the future is that the big updates will be more of a like 3-month cadence. So like every 3 months, we'll get like a new map. Now, I want to get to something that is really important to me. And this is probably my most important suggestion for the game. And that is making content important. What is the least important thing you can do in the game right now? And I'll show you, because I've been talking so much, I forgot I even had the game pulled up. It's this right here. I don't give a fuck about these, dude. I haven't done quests outside of accidentally running into them and just hitting F on them because I'm there since the beginning of the game. There's no reason to do these. These rewards, fine. Sometimes they're okay. Some of the cosmetics, whatever. But after you do them once, you don't need to do them again. It's cosmetics that you just unlock. You need to make quests mean something. Let's take a look at every other extraction shooter on the fucking planet. Or at least most of the big ones that I know of and ones that I have played or know a little bit about. What do you do with quests in those games? Well, they all have kind of like quest lines. What do these quest lines get you? Let's look at Delta Force. Delta Force every season. Delta Force doesn't have wipes. I think it needs wipes personally. But that's neither here nor there. It's a different video. I have about 500 hours in Delta Force as well. But they have a seasonal mission quest line that you can do every season. And what does that get you when you complete? It's very difficult. It's very hard. Takes a long time to do. And in that game, it's virtually impossible to do solo. Yeah. But if you do that, you unlock the big 3x3 save box. In Tarkov, what's the big grind when it comes to quests and rep and stuff like that? It's Kappa, the big save box. You get the best save box, so you can get more loot out guarantee, which gets you more money, which gets you more dopamine in the brain. Keeps you grinded, and it's something to work towards long term for players like myself, for players like these big streamers that put tons and tons and tons of hours in. It has to be a good reward. Let's look at Marathon. What's the reason to do quests in Marathon? To get rep, to buy better gear from those faction vendors. It's the same thing in the Cycle Frontier game that I loved that shut down because of bad management. Go figure. Not bad devs, bad management. Their direction was horrible. It was atrocious. They didn't focus on things. And again, that's something else. That's another game that had an issue with cheaters, and they didn't fix it fast enough. In fact, I don't think they ever really fixed it. But Ark is a little bit different because it's mostly just an illusion that is filled with cheaters. But anyway, moving on back to the point at hand. You did quests in that game for each of the vendors faction to get rep in order to buy the better guns. But those are all important and those are big. Because what do people do when they start a Tarkov wipe? They start working towards Kappa. What do we do in a new season Delta Force? We start working on our season missions. That's why. We want that big reward. So what could Arc Raiders do? Overhaul the quests, make an actual quest line, like a core quest line. You can still have like these fringe quests out on the side or like new quests for new maps and stuff like that. You can still have that and give like the little rewards, but have a main base quest line each season. And when you complete it, what do you get? A blueprint for the best augment in the game. Make it a gold augment. Make it a legendary augment. And that's the only way to get the blueprint for that. Not the actual augment itself, because you can still get it off killing other players who have it. But the blueprint for it, you get it from completing the quest line. And now they don't have to make this thing super overpowered either. They just have to make it better. That's all they got to do. If this thing had 4 save pockets, which is the most in the game, if it had 6 quick slots and 2 augment slots, I'd be happy. And it worked with a medium shield at least. They could go heavy shield, although I think that might be encroaching on being a little too strong. But at least a medium shield, I'd be happy. I would grind for that. That would be sick. I would do that every time I go through the expedition. I would grind that. I would, because I think that's worth it. And I think they should add that to the game. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below. Now, aside from that, I also want to talk about loot. It was something I actually criticized this game for on launch. I felt like the loot, it was missing something. It was missing that big hit. That big item, the super rare, oh my god, we gotta fucking go type shit. For example, in Delta Force, you get a big red. Say it's a big red, you can't fit in your safe pocket anywhere. You're like, oh shit, we gotta go now. You want to get out of there because it's so valuable. We need rare items, whether they're trinkets, crafting materials, or whatever, what have you. We need items that are worth more than a 10k mixtape, dude. Come on, man. Like, why don't we have super rare items worth 20k, 50k, 100k, 500k? Why don't we have those? But the best part about that is you can carry that over into other aspects of the game. You can make Ark have a slight chance to drop a really rare item. For example, you kill a pop, you loot them, there's a gold item in there. What is it? It's like a pristine pop shell. It's just a really rare pop material that you have a chance every time you kill a pop and loot it to get. And it's worth like 20k or 30k or whatever, like a decent amount. It's just a small enemy, so it shouldn't be a ton of money. And maybe even just start that one at 10k like the mixtape. But it's super rare, so it's still valuable, and you want to grab that and possibly get out. On top of that, that makes you juggle with some of the loot that you might have in your safe pockets. So you might be risking a snap hook. You might be risking other items that you want to keep or keep in your ass so you don't lose, you know what I mean? And you could do that thing and scale it up per enemy. So like a Bastion could have a super rare Bastion item that's worth 100k, and a Rocketeer could have a super rare item worth 150k. And what does that do? This is what I was talking about when it comes to PvE players earlier in the video, how this ties in and helps them, is because it encourages people to actually do more PvE just willy-nilly, because they have a chance to get something really valuable just from any enemy on the map. The Cycle Frontier had this a little bit in the game. It's not quite as good as I think it should be, but if you killed one of the creatures in that game, the PvE, you had a chance to get a head. And a head was worth a lot more money than the rest of the other items that you would normally get from that enemy. In fact, it was actually a really good money maker for me, is I'd just go in and kill a bunch of the enemies and collect a bunch of heads and sell them, because it was a good money maker. This could be a very similar aspect to it, but it could also be a little bit better than that, because you can make it super rare for these super hard enemies. There's enemies in Arc Raiders that stand well far and above the difficulty of anything that was in the cycle. So in my opinion, you could make them even better. And then on top of that, that encourages, like I said, it encourages the PvE players, and then it might make the PvP players like second guess. Maybe they got something rare, they don't want to fight a guy, or maybe they do want to fight a guy because they want to see if he got anything real nice in his bag. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a good aspect to add to the game. And then when you add just the random trinkets, it encourages to loot everything. You uncover everything. You want to loot all the drawers. You want to loot these things. Like in Delta Force, they have this little thing called the Heart of Africa. It's a single slot item. It's a red item. Ultra rare. There are people who have thousands of hours in that game who haven't found one. I got lucky. I have one. I got it on mobile, of all things. But oh my god, when I got that, holy shit, I was excited. I was screenshotting that shit, sending it to my friends, all that. You need something like that in this game. You look at Tarkov. Tarkov has lead. I don't know all the items in Tarkov, but I know there's LEDX. I know there's a couple other items that are super valuable that when you get, you're like, oh shit, we gotta go. Same thing in ABI. They have reds in ABI just like Delta Force. It's the same thing there. And I'm sure Marathon has some of that stuff too. However, it all looks like micro SD cards, and it's uninteresting to me, but that's another issue with that game. That's neither here nor there. I just think the game needs something really good like that added to it. Now, there's some other ideas that I think I've heard them talk about that I could get into, but those are like more down the road, long-term type things, like making Speranza an actual hub. But that's like way down the road shit. Most of this stuff that I'm talking about in this video that I have talked about is stuff that they could do either immediately or like very quickly and pretty easily, unless, you know, I'm not a coder, but like, these aren't, a lot of these aren't, other than like the maps obviously and stuff like that, but adding loot, adding like redoing the quests, I feel like aren't really that hard. And most of like the rework for quests that I'm talking about is literally just take the quests that we have, make like a proper quest line, like add one screen if I click on one of these quests and then show a quest line. And then at the end of it, it shows like, hey, this is the reward you get. And then when you complete that, that's your reward. So they have to add that item, add that blueprint, and make the quest line thing. And that's all they have to do. They could add more quests later on or change quests later on. But to get that in the game, that's it. You add that item, you add that blueprint, and you make it a fucking quest line. I might be speaking out my ass here, but I feel like that's like a fucking 1 week thing. They could get that done in a week. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me. And I'll see you guys in the next stream or the next video. Adios.